Hello and welcome. My name is Brian Beatty. I am a professor of education at San Francisco State University, and I'm inviting you to join us in the upcoming webinar, Designing Effective Learning in HyFlex University Science and Mathematics Courses. We'll be holding this webinar on April 20th, coming up very soon. In the webinar, we're going to talk about things like what is HyFlex design, a very brief review of some of the high-level design principles. We're going to focus on helping you understand how we can take courses that you are already teaching effectively in one of the modes, typically face-to-face, but perhaps online, and how we can create a HyFlex course design that will be effective for students who are participating in different modes and sometimes in different modes at the same time. So we're going to talk about how do we start? What do we start with? What do we look at? Things like student learning outcomes. Can they be met in all modes? How can we adapt them? Or how do we design activities that will help implement and meet all those learning outcomes, no matter which mode students are taking? What about content? What about the instructional content that we're using? How do we take that content and make sure it fits for students learning in both of these modes, or perhaps even all three modes in some cases? What about assessment strategies? Part of the learning experience is to be assessed on learning and to help students understand for themselves how well they're learning. How do we do that well in all three modes, or all the modes that you're choosing, without trying to do 2 or 3 different kinds of things? How about engagement? I think engaged learning and active learning are some of the most important principles we can implement in our instruction, even if it's just in the classroom or just online, or perhaps even in something like hybrid, flexible, or HyFlex course design. How do we create those engaged in learning activities, that experiences for students, without sacrificing learning, right? We want to make sure that we can provide this opportunity for students in all of these modes, and we want students in every mode to be learning just as well as if they were in a different mode. Everybody should be able to learn. We're looking for equity or equitable learning across the learning outcomes, even though the experiences in different modes will be different. These are the kinds of things we're going to teach about, or we're going to be talking about. I have some ideas. I would like you to bring your ideas too, and ask and bring your questions especially. We're going to look at some examples, and we're going to review some of the research that's been done on HyFlex course implementations in the sciences areas, science classes, mathematics classes, etc. So think about how you best teach your students now in your classes. How do your students learn best? And what might you have to change or adapt or add on to that, or perhaps less of some things, more of other things, if you started teaching in multiple modes at the same time in a multimodal class like a HyFlex course would be, to meet the needs of more students, or at least to meet the needs of students who have not had access to your classes before. So please bring your questions. I look forward to our discussion on April 20th.